Day 3 of Buffalo Bills training camp has just concluded, and this is everything you need to know. As always, these videos will continue throughout the entire of the offseason, so Bills fans, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another one of these training camp updates. Let's get right into it. The injury report for today, the same guys who have been out for the start of training camp but were still out today, as Dawson Knox, as Laviska Shenault, that is Spencer Brown, and that is Cedric Van Pran-Granger. We have 3 new additions to the injury report today. So David White Jr., who is a depth wide receiver, he's probably not going to make the team. He was excused from practice today with a personal issue, so prayers up to him. Hope all is well. But the other 2 guys left practice early yesterday, as AJ Epineza with an ankle injury and Dorian Williams with a calf injury. Now, we don't have any real updates on those 2 injuries, but we did see AJ Epineza working on his ankle during the training camp or during the practice portion of practice today. And Dorian Williams with his calf injury, he's only had 1 soft tissue calf injury in the past, and that was in 2024 or 2023, I believe. He missed a week of practice, so let's just hope that's just, a week of practice miss of Dorian Williams and nothing worse than that. Now getting into the first press conference of the day, and it was Bobby Babich, the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, and he has some interesting things to say. The rookie Bills cornerback and safety Jordan Hancock, he's been working at both the cornerback and safety position just to see what he's kind of best at, and that is where the Bills will develop him. But the reason why that is so important is that's kind of the Cam Lewis role on the team right now. So Cam Lewis versus Jordan Hancock could end up being a really big position battle during this offseason if Jordan Hancock can play both positions well, just like Cam Lewis can. And we'll get into that a little bit more during the practice notes. But next up, we have Cole Bishop, just a lot more confident going to year 2. I played with the jitters a lot last year, Bobby Babich was saying, but he's coming in this year. He's a lot more comfortable. He's a lot more confident. So if we get a better version of Cole Bishop this season. And Bobby Babich views Joey Bosa as a 3-down player, and the reason why they have that rep plan for him is so that he can stay healthy for the entire season, because they see him as a 3-down guy. And even though, he's probably not going to be playing all 3 downs because of the fact he has a rep limit, they want to be able to make sure that he's healthy so that whenever they need a pass rusher on the field, he can be on the field and be that guy for the Bills. Tre White has been a massive influence on this team, as Bobby Babich says that his work habits have spread to the entire DB room. And honestly, they were still there. Those work habits were there last year, even when he was on the team, because the team saw how hard he worked, and they, just implemented that. And Tre White, so he just has a big influence on this team. But also, he made note that Tre White went up to Bobby Babich yesterday and said, "It's nice to have legs back underneath me," which means that he's feeling good, he's feeling healthy, and he kind of proved himself today in practice. And then we have some more rookie notes. So TJ Sanders, Bobby Babich says that he fits the Bills culture and he fits in really, really well with his Bills team and has a really good chance to make an impact early on. And also talking about Maxwell Hairston, said how day 1 was good for him. Day 2, you could kind of see what needs to be worked on. But it was good that they had another practice today, just so he could continue to keep working. Now it's time for the practice notes, which I'm sure what everyone is here for. And so starting off, we just have Javon Solomon. He was working really closely with assistant Ryan Nielsen on the field. Now, Ryan Nielsen is a defensive assistant that we brought in, I believe, from the Saints. Very, very good defensive mind, very good with pass rushing. And that is why Bills fans are so high on him, making a real impact and coaching up this defensive line to the best version that we've seen in a while. And then the next note that I have for my practice notes is just Cam Lewis versus Jordan Hancock ? Because, from the Bobby Babich presser, I just kind of put that one down to Cam Lewis versus Jordan Hancock, just because, they're playing basically the same position. They're both nickel guys who could also play safety. And in practice, we got a couple plays from them. So Cam Lewis broke up a pass against, I believe it was Elijah Moore, over the middle, just kind of poked the ball out. Elijah Moore was trying to make a good catch. Cam Lewis just knocked it out of his hands. And another good play from him was Josh Allen was targeting Josh Palmer like 30, 40 yards down the field. And Cam Lewis made a nice play to break that one up. And meanwhile, Jordan Hancock only had one notable play where it was against, I believe, a third-string wide or like a third-team wide receiver. So, someone's probably not going to make the team. But he was good in coverage, made a nice pass breakup. So good to see from both of those guys. Important to note, for the 3rd consecutive day, Tre White and Cole Bishop both started with the 1s. So it really looks like Tre White is that locked-up cornerback 2 for right now, unless Maxwell Hairston somehow beats him out. But I don't think he will, just based on how Tre White has been playing. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. And Tylen Grable took over at right tackle 1 over Ryan Van DeMark. Now, Tylen Grable started there on day 1. Day 2 went to Ryan Van DeMark, and day 3 goes back to Tylen Grable. A couple small notes. So Joey Andreessen was just getting a lot of love from Hard Knocks early in practice, which is pretty cool. He also broke down the huddle, which is pretty nice to probably see that on Hard Knocks on August 5th, which is when the first episode comes out. And Curtis Samuel just looking really, really fresh at practice. Look, he's has his speed back, he has his agility, and obviously he was dealing with that turf toe basically all of last season. So getting Curtis Samuel healthy this offseason is going to be very, very big for potentially, playing more, being more involved in the offense this year. But now we're going to get into the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11s. So the first play of 7-on-7 was a Khalil Shakir 40-yard touchdown from Josh Allen. He beat Cole Bishop on a corner route. So Cole Bishop, he came in more confident, still giving up those deep bombs, just like the one he gave up last year against Nico Collins week 5. Still won't forget that play. But yeah, Shakir 40-yard touchdown, first play of 7-on-7s. You like to see that. It kind of just seemed like Josh Allen was locked in all day today, just more than he normally was. As on the second play, Josh Moore made a nice catch on the sideline, and their connection has been growing a lot over these last 3 days of training camp. However, Taylor Rapp did get an interception on miscommunication. Now, I believe one of the Bills reporters made note that it seemed like Elijah Moore did get rerouted, which is not good. So Elijah Moore's got to be a little bit better there. But Josh Allen, interception on miscommunication. It happens. Taylor Rapp got an interception. That's not the last time I'm going to be saying that today. Next note I have is that Greg Rousseau, he has constantly been making these outside runs be pushed inside. He's a great run stopper. He's been very disruptive in the run game. And also, I want to note, I didn't write this down, but Joey Bosa was making a ton of plays today. So it's very good to see that the Bills' top 2 edge rushers were playing fantastic early on in training camp. However, pads are still not on. So, take that with a grain of salt, but still good to see them looking good. And I just have another note. Josh Palmer's just heating up. He had another 15-yard catch over the middle from Josh Allen. So it's good to see him getting involved super early on with Josh Allen. I feel like that connection could be pretty big this upcoming season. And as far as a QB2 competition, Mitch Trubisky and Mike White was kind of going back and forth between who is running with the twos. Seems like Mitch Trubisky made more plays today than Mike White did. Mike White had a great day on day number 2, but day 3 seems like Mitch Trubisky had the upper hand. Then another note, Josh Allen to Elijah Moore on a short out route. So on a previous play, Elijah Moore got rerouted, which ended up becoming a Josh Allen interception. But this time, they actually connected on a short out route. So I have to say that from Elijah Moore, even after a bad play like that, still being able to, come back and make a good play afterward. And once again, like I said, there are no pads yet, but defensive linemen, TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, Landon Jackson, and Michael Hoyt have all been living in the backfield over the first 3 days of training camp, which you love to see. Because if out of all those 4 guys, you really only need 1 or 2 of them to really hit and be not even a star, but a productive player to really transform his defensive line. But now that all 4 are looking really, really good, it's really nice to see, and our defensive line could be dangerous this upcoming season. Dalton Kincaid, who's had a quiet start at camp, had a 20-plus yard reception over Cam Lewis today, which, that's a point for Jordan Hancock because he didn't get a 25-yard reception on him. But Dalton Kincaid, quiet start, had a 20-yard reception. That was basically it from him today. Keon Coleman had a very weird day. So the first start of the day came 30 minutes into camp, and he made a nice catch. I don't know who was over, but he made a nice catch to start camp. Then he had a 60-plus yard touchdown over Tre White. Tre White slipped on the play, and then Keon Coleman just took the ball to the end zone. But then at the end of practice, we'll get into that in a little bit. And then I have a note that Shakir had another catch over the middle. But then the next note is Joey Bosa. His pressure led to a Josh Allen interception, and it fell in the hands of Taylor Rapp for the second time today. So Joey Bosa forcing the pressure, forcing a bad throw, and Taylor Rapp got the interception. You love to see that. And then Josh Allen had a 13-yard completion to Zach Davidson. And I want to make note of this because Zach Davidson is playing a lot with the ones with Dawson Knox out. Don't know why Kincaid's not getting most of those reps, but Zach Davidson has been getting a lot of those reps. I think there could be a real tight end 3 competition between Zach Davidson and Jackson Hawes. Now, I firmly believed that Jackson Hawes would win that because the Bills drafted him, as opposed to the Bills did not draft Zach Davidson. They just signed him as a depth piece. But Zach Davidson has been playing great in training camp so far. He has a serious connection with Josh Allen, so there's a chance that he could actually make the team as the team's tight end 3. Then another note, I guess I'm not giving Keon Coleman enough credit. He had a nice sideline grab versus Christian Benford, so you have to see that making some good plays against cornerback 1. And then the next note that I have is Maxwell Harrison. He was running with the ones. He got a nice pass breakup on Keon Coleman. That's kind of the beginning of the end for Keon Coleman, but Maxwell Harrison making a great play on one of the Bills' top wide receivers, so you'd like to see that. And then there's a quick little skirmish between the offensive line and defensive line. It lasts 10 seconds, so not that big of a deal. However, you kind of like to see that fire from your players early on in training camp, so not too mad at that at all. Then Tre White had a nice pass breakup on Josh Allen intended for Shakir, which you really like to see that because Shakir is a top receiver in the NFL. Josh Allen's obviously Josh Allen, who's the MVP. And Tre White being able to make that play, you love to see that. Maybe Tre White can get not fully back to his all-pro form, but if he can be a really, really good, solid contributor at that cornerback 2 position, the Bills are in a great spot heading into this year. Then we had a rep where Josh Palmer was going up against Christian Benford. Benford was sticking with him the whole way. However, the ref, who does not really throw flags during training camp, threw a rare flag against Christian Benford on that play. So take that as you will. And Keon Coleman had dropped a wide open pass against Maxwell Hairston. Apparently, he kind of had a nice route against Hairston, got wide open 20 yards down the field, then just dropped the ball. Shades of Quentin Johnson, which is not really good. And on the one of the next plays, he had a one-on-one started, wide receivers DB, and Keon Coleman had a rep against Tre White. Now, one guy said he made a nice over-the-shoulder catch. One guy said the ball went through his hands. So I don't really know which one's true because there's only two guys who commented on it. But take it as you will. He made a nice play over Tre White. Hopefully he did catch it, and hopefully the guy who said it went through his hands was just a hater and just wanted to see him fail. Then we'll just go through all the one-on-one reps that I have made note of. So KJ Hamler beat Maxwell Hairston on a short route. KJ Hamler versus Maxwell Hairston has been a very nice battle, I guess, early on in training camp, where Maxwell Hairston got one pass breakup. KJ Hamler's beaten him twice now, so hopefully Maxwell Hairston gets back at him tomorrow. But Jackson Hawes, another guy fighting for that tight end 3 spot over Zach Davidson. He made a nice catch and a good route on DeMar Hamlin, which you like to see. Then Josh Palmer had a nice contested catch on a back shoulder throw against Maxwell Hairston. And the real note I get from that is Josh Palmer, he's a huge big body cornerback. Made a nice contested catch on Maxwell Hairston. I really think that Josh Allen and Josh Palmer connection is going to skyrocket in 2025. And the last two one-on-one reps that I have were Elijah Moore. He routed up Jamarcus Ingram for a nice touchdown, which you like to see. And Jackson Hawes had a nice catch to end the practice. While this was going on, there were another 11-on-11s going on, and Taylor Rapp actually got a third interception. So a very, very good day from Taylor Rapp, forcing 3 interceptions. You really like to see that from the defense. But now we'll move on to the press conferences at the end of practice. The first one is Ed Oliver, and he says that Brendan Bean did an exceptional job of bringing in new guys to that defensive line room. So all these new guys that are coming in, they're making plays. They are Ed Oliver approved, which we like to see. And Ed Oliver, speaking about Deion Walker, says that he's a massive human being on ballerina legs. Don't really know what that means, but Deion Walker has flashed early on in training camp. He has a massive frame, like I said yesterday. He's 6'7", 345. So getting him involved in this Bills defense, he could be an absolute monster. And that's all I saw from Ed Oliver. But now we have a Tre White press conference. And he started off by saying that when you come to work and you love the people around you beyond the football field, it makes the job a lot easier. And I don't necessarily think that's a shot at the Rams or the Ravens, but I think that man really does love Buffalo. He loves being here. And I think that he will really be his best self when he's in Buffalo playing football. And then Tre White says that the program of the Buffalo Bills will always be top-notch because they have Josh Allen, the best quarterback in the league. So as long as they're on the field, they have a chance of winning a Super Bowl. Which you'll have to hear that from Tre White, especially because he played with the Ravens last year and he played with Lamar Jackson. So take that, Ravens fans. He thinks that Josh Allen's the best QB in the NFL. Then Tre White concluding his press conference saying, I put a lot of bleeping hard work in. It's going to be a great bleeping season. You love to hear that from Tre White. Bills fans, let me know what you guys think about day 3 of Buffalo Bills training camp. Now, I will say the Bills do have off tomorrow on Saturday. I'm going to be making a video on the Buffalo Bills wide receiver room, and I think that whole thing will shake out based on these first 3 days of training camp. So Bills fans, leave a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications so you don't miss another video. And stay tuned for that wide receiver video breakdown tomorrow. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.